Good morning. This is K. Srikanth, Assistant Professor, Department of EC, ISL Engineering College. Now we are going with online session Analog Communications, class number 5. And in this class, we are going to deal with the, So in this class, we are going to deal with the analysis of the amplitude modulation, of the amplitude modulator. Now in the previous classes what we discussed, we have discussed about the basic block diagram of analog communication system, which contains basically a transmitter, channel and a receiver, and we have studied about the need of modulation and what is the technique known as modulation, and we have discussed about need of modulation, and after that we discussed about some of the properties of Fourier transforms which are useful to analyze the operation of the modulator in the transmitter section. So now let us try to have a recap of modulation. Now we are dealing with the analog modulation techniques. So AM modulation techniques. When we deal with AM, what is that we are going to have now? We deal with amplitude modulation. So amplitude modulation with full carrier. So we call it as a full carrier. Now we will try to perform the analysis of the modulator. Now what is the heart of the transmitter? It is the modulator. What is the heart of the receiver? It is going to be the demodulator. The modulator, a transmitter, and demodulated receiver are going to be opposite operations done at the transmitter side as well as at the receiver side. So compulsorily both of them has to be opposite to each other in order to have effective communication between transmitter and the receiver. Let us start going with our subject now. So first of all, we have defined a modulation. What is modulation? Modulation is defined as a process of regulating some of the characteristics of the carrier signal with respect to the amplitude, instantaneous amplitude variations of the message signal. Now this carrier signal can also be called as a high frequency dummy signal, and a message signal can be called as a information signal or analog signal or continuous signal or low frequency signal. So which is basically known as a modulation technique. And another definition I can give it for modulation. Okay, modulation is a process of translating the information signal onto a high frequency carrier for transmission of information signal over longer distance. That means first definition has been defined with respect to the carrier signal. The second definition, this definition has been given with respect to the message signal, that is the information signal. So here what we are actually doing, and this is the definition given in terms of the frequency domain. The first definition has been given in terms of the time domain definition. So in frequency domain, what is that we are doing? We are simply translating the low frequency into a high frequency, and then we are transmitting a high frequency signal. It is more analogous to aeroplane. So once the human being enters into the aeroplane, so what will be seen by the outsider, whether the human being or aeroplane, when the aeroplane is moving in the free space. So what we see is only the aeroplane, what we see is only the carrier, we cannot see the human being. Similarly, once the message sits in the carrier, what we see while the message is transmitting? Only the carrier. So that is what we are giving it here. We are translating the message signal, onto the carrier. Okay. Sorry. So this is what the basic definition of a modulation. So modulation can be defined in two methods. One is time domain, another one is the frequency domain. So these two we have defined. The next is what is basically going to be heart of the transmitter? It is a modulator circuit. So modulator is going to operate with two inputs. One is going to be the information signal called as low frequency signal. Another one is known as the carrier signal called as a high frequency signal. The modulator is going to modulate based on the type of the modulation. If the modulator is AM modulator, it's simply going to amplitude modulates the carrier. If the modulator is going to be FM modulator, it's going to modulate the frequency of the carrier. If the modulator is going to be PM modulator, it is going to modulate phase of the carrier signal with respect to the amplitude variations of the information signal or the message signal, and output is going to be a modulated signal. That is what the modulator, which is the process of modulation at the transmitter side. Now in the reception side, what will happen now? As a reception, we are going to have a demodulator. Now what is the demodulator? We'll do now. It is simply going to extract the message signal at the receiver from the modulated signal, which is known as demodulator. So extraction of message signal at the receiver from the modulated signal that is generated at the modulator. Modulator is at the transmitter side, receiver demodulator is at the receiver side. So now this signal is transmitted by a modulator onto the free space. Then after free space, it goes into the channel. Output of channel is given to the input of the demodulator, and demodulator is going to once again reconstruct the original message signal from the received electromagnetic signal. Then we normally going to get the actual message signal. So this is what the process of modulation and demodulation taken place at the transmitter side and at the receiver side of the communication system. Then next, what is the need of modulation? We discussed about around 5 needs of modulations. One is going to be, say, frequency division, multiplexing. So in this particular slide, what has been given now? M1 of F, M2 of F. So these two are the two different frequency spectrums, which says that M1 of F and M2 of F are the two different signal frequency components. So the spectrums are going to be totally different. Now since they are different, what I am doing now? To transmit this F1 signal, I am simply allocating the bandwidth from 0 to F1. I am simply allocating the bandwidth from 0 to F1. To transmit another signal, I am allocating signal from 0 to F2. In between, I am leaving some space. This space is known as the guard band space. It is normally kept empty in order to protect the two signals to get interfere. Because of these guard bands, these two signals won't get interfere with each other. The next is practicability of antenna. So this also we discussed in the last class, which depends on h is equal to lambda by 4, where lambda is wavelength of the wave that we are transmitting and lambda is equal to c by f. Then next we discussed about power radiation. Power radiation is inversely proportional to lambda to the power 4. So as the wavelength decreases, the power radiated is also going to get increased. So more amount of power can be transmitted as the wavelength decreases. The next is narrow banding. Due to narrow banding, what will happen? More number of channels can be accommodated, can be created dynamically due to the narrow banding effect. The next is high bandwidth. Due to more channel bandwidth, the more number of signals can be transmitted. So thereby it's going to provide high bandwidth. So to provide high bandwidth, I need to use the modulation techniques. Already we discussed about. Now what are the different modulation methods we have? We have analog modulation, we have pulse modulation. In analog modulation, we have AM, FM and PM. And in pulse modulation, we have PAM, PWM and PPM. This also we discussed. And next is digital to analog type of modulation, where the modulating signal is going to be digital in nature. So it comes under basically, analog digital communication, but the carrier is analog in nature. So what are the examples of this? ASK, FSK, PS. So before we go with the analysis, let us try to go with the once again let us recap the basic concepts that what we discussed earlier. So modulation is basically a process of changing the characteristics of a high frequency carrier with respect to the modulating signal, with respect to the amplitude variations of the modulating signal. Then next, this is what the time domain representation of the thing we have. The next, for a frequency domain, in terms of the frequency translation, in terms of frequency domain, we can always say that so modulation is the process of translating the information into information onto a high frequency carrier is known as the modulation. Now modulation is normally used to transmit the signal over the longer distances. Then modulation is nothing but modulation is normally going to be done by a circuit, by a block called modulator. So modulator is going to accept two inputs, one is message signal, other one is the carrier signal, and after that modulation takes place by the modulator, and that modulated signal is transmitted over the channel. Then after that, the signal received at the demodulator from the channel is going to get demodulated to extract the original signal. So demodulator is normally going to extract the original signal from the received signal. Then next we discussed about the need of modulation, where multiplexing, height of the antenna, and narrow banding, high bandwidth. So all these are very important for modulation techniques. We have different types of modulations. One is going to be the amplitude modulation, another one is going to be the digital modulation. So as far as amplitude modulation is concerned, we have AM, FM and PM modulation techniques, and after that we are going to have a pulse modulation. Pulse modulation is going to contain PAM, PWM and PPM. So in both of these amplitude modulation, in both of these analog modulation and pulse modulation, what is carrier? Carrier is going to be analog in nature. Carrier message is going to be analog in nature, and in the pulse modulation technique, the carrier is going to be pulse train. In the case of the analog modulation technique, the carrier is going to be continuous in nature. So that means here the message signal is going to be continuous in nature. Since the message is continuous in nature, we simply call it as a analog communication technique. Then other techniques we are going to have called digital modulation techniques. So where the carrier that we the message that we normally going to use is going to be digital in nature or discrete in nature. If the message signal is digital or discrete in nature, it comes under the digital modulation technique. If the message signal is going to be if the message signal is going to be analog in nature, then it is simply going to be analog in nature. If the message signal is going to be discrete in nature, it is going to be known as a digital modulation or a digital communication. So the other part that I explained in the slide is going to be for a digital communication techniques. So as far as digital communication is concerned, we normally going to have the modulating signal is going to be a digital signal or a discrete signal. So based on that, we are going to have various types of modulations like amplitude shift keying modulation, frequency shift keying modulation, phase shift keying modulation, and following to that we are going to have a digital modulation called pulse code modulation techniques, adaptive pulse code modulation technique, delta modulation technique. So these two techniques we are not concerned in our subject. So presently we go with only analog and pulse modulation techniques. Okay. Then next we have, so these three are the three variants for analog to analog conversion. So what is actually we are doing? The input message signal is analog, but what is the output we are going to get? We are going to get once again analog signal. That is what we have seen. Then after modulation, what is going to happen? The carrier amplitude is going to get modulated with respect to the amplitude variations of the message signal. This is what we have seen. And here what is most important is the carrier should come from the oscillator circuit. So that is what important. The carrier signal should come from the oscillator circuit, which we have discussed already in the basic subject of electronics called AEC subject. So oscillator is going to generate the high frequency oscillations. So this oscillator is normally used as a carrier source, and anyway the information is going to be the actual signal source. So we multiply these two signals to get a amplitude modulated signal. So this is going to be the frequency domain representation of the amplitude modulated signal. So after this, we normally going to allocate the bandwidth or a spectrum of the amplitude modulation, where this FC1, FC2, FC3 so on are normally being allocated. Now all these FCs are going to be of different frequencies ranging from 530 kilohertz to 1700 kilohertz. If the message signal frequency is 5 kilohertz, then what is the bandwidth required to transmit a AM signal? It is going to be 2 times the message signal. So that means what going to be like what we have got there as 10 kilohertz. So 10 kilohertz is going to be bandwidth of the amplitude modulated signal. Then after this we are going to have different types of modulation, that is called a simple AM, which is known as a double sideband suppressed double sideband full carrier, or double sideband with large carrier. Then next is double sideband suppressed carrier, single sideband suppressed carrier, and vestigial sideband modulation techniques. So using these techniques we normally going to amplitude modulate the signal. So that means now let us have a quick look about these particular techniques, whatever that we have here. So first of all we will go with a simple modulator, that is AM modulator. So AM is nothing but, now what we have to understand here is, if anybody mentions in the exam just AM modulator, what does it mean by saying AM modulator? It is nothing but DSB FC modulator. So sometimes he is not going to say DSB LC or DSB FC, he is simply going to say about DSB FC. So without mentioning anything, we simply call this as simple AM. Simple AM is this one now. So simple AM is nothing but this. Now we will try to go with the modulation techniques. So now let us try to understanding the, let us try to understand the analysis now. Right. Now we have two types of analysis. One is going to be time domain analysis, another one is going to be frequency domain analysis. So why we normally go with time domain analysis? If at all we wanted to see the shape of the waveform, a shape of the signal, then we go with a time domain representation. If at all we wanted to analyze the signal, analyze the signal, then we go with the frequency domain representation. So we have two types of representations here, time domain and frequency domain representations. So first of all, we will try to perform analysis on the time domain, then we will find out the Fourier transform of this time domain signal to get a frequency domain spectrum. Then later on we have to draw this spectrum in terms of the time domain. So whenever I say time domain, already we discussed about this. That means how the AM wave simply looks like. So if it is time period, time domain means with respect to time, and here you are going to have a amplitude of the signal. The amplitude may be a voltage signal, it may be a current signal, it may be a power signal, but for our analysis I always going to consider it as a voltage signal. So why voltage signal? Because voltage is going to be more wanted kind of a signal we want at the output, so therefore we always consider them as a voltage signal. Now here the three things are very, very important, as I mentioned already. What are the three things? There are three important terminologies which are involved in this particular modulation techniques. One is going to be the modulating signal, another one is going to be the carrier signal, and last one is going to be the modulated signal. Now what do you mean by modulating signal? The message signal is known as modulating signal. What is carrier signal? High frequency signal is known as the carrier signal. What is modulated signal? After modulation we normally going to get the after modulation we are going to get the AM modulated signal. So after modulation the signal is known as modulated signal, before modulation it is known as carrier signal, and modulating signal is known as the actual message signal. So now here what is that we discussed in the last class? Say imagine if the carrier is going to have an amplitude like this, peak to peak amplitude. So the carrier signal is something like this. Now I am just drawing with a very lightly. Now after this carrier is amplitude modulated with respect to the message signal, how the modulation is normally going to take place? The modulation is normally going to take place simply like this. So we normally going to have two envelopes that we are going to get over here for amplitude modulation. That means here the carrier signal, that whatever we are going to draw now, this carrier's signal amplitude is going to get varied with respect to the amplitude variations of the message signal. So what is most important is the envelope of the carrier is really very, very important. The amplitude of the carrier is varying with respect to the amplitude variations of the message signal. So this is known as simple AM modulator output. So the output of AM modulator is going to be simply looking like this. So we have to perform analysis mathematically in the time domain. So to perform analysis mathematically in time domain, what is that we have to use now? We have to use some notation, some parameters. Now various textbooks uses various notations. Now here also don't bother about variation, bother about the concept. What is the underlying concept that we have? So some people will designate voltage with the EC. Some people will designate this as some VC. Okay, some people designate this as AC. So what is the meaning of this? This E is going to be something like, you know, your EM wave notation. capital VC is nothing but the voltage electrical signal representation. AC is a generalized representation. So whatever may be the representation it is, but what we mean is it is nothing but voltage for us. See, before the signal is transmitted by an antenna, that signal is known as a voltage signal. The signal is known as a voltage signal before we transmit by a transmitting antenna. Now after the antenna, transmitting antenna radiates the signal, that signal is going to be called as a electromagnetic signal, that is called EM signal. So therefore we normally represent the signal by EC or VC, or in generalized format is going to be AC. It doesn't matter whatever may be the representation. So in this class I am representing this as EC. That means what? The amplitude of the carrier. So without modulation, now please draw the guiding lines. So without modulation, this particular voltage value of the carrier is represented by EC, E suffix C. This C stands for the carrier signal. And next is message signal amplitude. This is nothing but, this amplitude is nothing but EM. That means the carrier signal amplitude is going to get changed with respect to the amplitude variations of the message signal. So next, what about this value? This is also going to be simply EM. So that means single peak is going to be EM, double peak means what? EM plus EM is going to be equal to this. So this is the value, this is the notation we normally going to have. Now whenever we write the equation mathematically, how do we write the equation mathematically as the carrier signal? So EC is equal to, we can represent by using sine or cos, because both of them are sinusoidal in nature. So therefore I go with representing the signal in terms of the cos wave. In terms of the cos wave. So therefore I represent carrier by C of t. What is C of t? C stands for carrier. C is a time domain representation of the carrier signal. So now this I can write as EC cos omega Ct plus theta. Now for simplification we consider theta is going to be 0. So therefore the signal, carrier signal, I can write as C of t is equal to EC cos omega Ct. And similarly, can I write signal for the message signal? Yes, I can write similarly for the message signal as m of t is equal to, you can take m of t, x of t, y of t, doesn't matter. So let us say I am taking here as m of t, or otherwise you can take x of t, doesn't matter. So I will take some x of t. So x of t is the message signal. Now this message signal amplitude I can take as Em cos omega mt. What do you mean by suffix m? M stands for modulating signal. Angular frequency omega m is going to be for the message signal, omega c is going to be for the carrier signal. Now next, after modulation, what is happening? Before modulation, what was the signal? Only the carrier is going to be there. After modulation, what happens? The carrier signal amplitude is increasing here. So therefore only the amplitude term of the carrier is simply changing. So therefore after modulation, what I can write this as? S of t of AM signal I can write as equal to some A into cos of omega Ct. That means the frequency of the carrier signal is not changing. That is why the frequency remains to be like that only. Only the amplitude is normally going to change. Therefore I write this amplitude as A. So after I write this, what I can write this as? S of t of AM is equal to, what I can write A as now? A is nothing but equal to, which is changing now? The amplitude of the carrier EC is changing with respect to the variations of the message signal. So I can write this as EC plus x of t whole into cos of omega Ct. Cos of omega Ct. So this is what the message signal I can write. So let us continue with the evaluation now, time domain evaluation. So I can write this, the signal after modulation S of t of AM can be written as equal to EC plus x of t. What is this small x of t? It is known as the instantaneously varying message signal. So it is affecting the carrier of the it is affecting the amplitude of the carrier, that is why we are changing in the amplitude side of the carrier, into cos omega ct. So in the case of the amplitude modulation, this is the key. You have to start with changing the amplitude of the carrier with respect to the message signal, This is what very important for us, first step. If the first step is perfectly correct, automatically rest of the things is normally going to come to us. Now, what is x of t? X of t is known as message signal. I can write this as Em cos omega mt, and rest of things is going to be as it is. Then I simply cross multiply Ec cos omega ct plus Em cos omega ct into cos omega mt, and I have replaced this Em as equal to, I have replaced Em by this equation. So we can write m, the modulation index, is equal to Em by Ec. Because m is equal to Em by Ec, I can write Em as m into Ec. So this Em has been replaced by simply m into Ec, cos omega ct and cos omega mt. Now in this equation, this Ec should be compulsorily greater than or equal to Em. If Ec becomes less than Em, we get a under modulation. So we should not come into that particular situation. So compulsorily Ec should be always greater than or equal to Em. Then next, what you are going to have, let us expand this equation now. Now we have to use a trigonometric relationship to expand this particular relationship. To use this trigonometric relationship, what formula we have now? We have 2 cos a cos b is equal to cos a plus b plus cos a minus b. So in order to get into that form, what we do now? Simply multiply and divided by 2 in this particular equation, where we normally going to get this in the form of a 2 cos a cos b. Simply we expand this with 2 cos a cos b. By that we can just simply say this as cos of mec by 2, carry remains as it is, cos of omega c plus omega m into t, plus cos of omega c minus, this is minus omega m of t. So now this is the amplitude modulated signal in time domain which we have got. Now what we understand from this particular equation, we understand that the first term which we got in this equation is going to be a carrier frequency term. So that means you are going to have a carrier signal plus other 2 signals we are going to have. Now if you observe this carefully, on the carrier frequency you are going to have a shift omega m. That means this is plus omega m, this is going to be minus omega m. Therefore these 2 components are known as the sideband components. So along with the carrier signal, we are normally going to get the sideband components, which means the information signal is going to get resided in the sidebands, in the 2 sidebands, upper sideband as well as lower sideband. That means the information signal is going to come in these 2, is going to get effect in these 2. Therefore we are going to get a duplicate copies of the information signal as part of the upper sideband and also the lower sideband signal frequencies, and hence we can conclude that because of the AM modulation, what we generate? We generate a carrier signal and 2 sideband signals. One is going to be upper sideband, another one is lower sideband. How I know that it is upper sideband? Because it is going to be increasing frequency, omega c plus omega m. So increasing frequency. Lower sideband, why? Because it is omega c minus omega m. So it is a decreasing frequency. Therefore we simply call this as, this frequency we call as lower sideband frequencies, and these frequencies we call as upper sideband frequencies. So this equation is known as the time domain representation of the amplitude modulated signal. Then next we let us try to shift towards the frequency domain representation of this particular signal. Now in this particular time domain signal, what are the components we have? We have the carrier component, we have the upper sideband USB component, we have the lower sideband LSB component. So we have to find out the Fourier transform for these 3 terms. So let us go with the first term, that is the carrier term. So I can designate this first term as, say, term 1. So for this first term, when I calculate Fourier transform of the cos of omega ct. Now how can I write this cos omega ct in terms of exponential notation? I can write cos theta is equal to e power j theta plus e power minus j theta by 2. So using that trigonometric relationship, what I can expand now? I can expand this as e power j omega ct plus e power minus j omega ct by 2. So this we can write by using a Euler's identity. I can just simply expand it like that. Then we have to use the properties here to get into the final frequency domain representation. So what are the properties we have used earlier? Using duality property of this impulse pair, impulse signal pair with 1, what we can have now? 1 is going to have a pair with 2 pi delta of omega, as delta of omega is a even function, as impulse signal is an even function, we can write it like this. Now based on this, what I can have, just simply divide it by 2. When you divide it by 2, we normally going to get for 1 by 2 is going to have a pair with delta of omega. So after that we use a frequency shifting property. What the frequency shifting property is going to tell to us? If there is a multiplication, of the complex number, then on the frequency domain we are going to have the frequency term over there. So if we have a e power plus j omega ct, now this plus j will be coming as the minus on the frequency domain, and similarly if it is going to be minus, we will be getting here as a plus. Now by using that notation, what I can write this as now, this is going to be comprising of what now, e power j omega ct into e power minus. Now what about for 1 by 2? It's going to be 1 by 2 Fourier transform of 1 by 2 into e power this one. So 1 by 2 into e power this, already we have computed this. So finally the Fourier transform of the cos signal we can write as pi of delta of omega minus omega c plus delta of omega plus omega c. So this is the frequency domain representation of the message signal, of the carrier signal. So now how do we draw, or how can we draw the frequency spectrum of this particular thing? So we can draw the frequency spectrum something like this. So this is the simply, I am rubbing this part. So frequency response, how we draw the frequency response now? See, frequency response means with respect to omega or with respect to frequency is known as a frequency response. On the y-axis, you obviously going to have the amplitude. On x-axis, you are going to have frequency. If it is time domain, x-axis will be the time period. If it is frequency domain, x-axis will be the frequency. So on this frequency, this is the 0th origin, 0th point. Now on this frequency spectrum we have omega c. This is going to be an impulse response I am getting delta of omega minus omega c. It is a time delayed signal by omega c. Then next on the other side also I am going to get the same spectrum with the same amplitude, which has delta of omega plus omega c. So that means this is going to be omega c, this is going to be minus omega c. So this is what the spectrum that we have got. What is the amplitude? What is the amplitude of this spectrum now? It is pi into EC, because VC we have skipped here because we have find out Fourier transform, because EC is a constant parameter which is the maximum carrier signal amplitude. So finally the amplitude of the signal in the frequency domain is going to be pi into EC. So this is what the frequency response of the signal. Okay, right. So now let us try applying this Fourier transform to the terms in the previous equation 2 as well as to the 3. Now similarly we can apply the Fourier transform. So if I apply the Fourier transform to the upper sideband frequency component, what we can have? Fourier transform of m into EC by 2 cos of omega c plus omega mt. If you apply Fourier transform of this m into EC by 2 is a constant parameter, we will take it outside, and Fourier transform of once again a cos function. Once we got a cos function, what is the Fourier transform of cos function? We are going to have a spectrum on the positive side of the 0 and negative side of the 0. So therefore this part delta of omega minus is going to be positive side of the 0 axis, and delta of plus omega c plus omega m is going to be on the negative side of the spectrum. So therefore similar to the previous cos function we will be getting it, but the only thing is we are getting this in terms of the upper sideband frequency and the lower sideband frequencies. So this is what the upper sideband frequency and lower sideband frequency component which we have got. And next is similarly for term number 3, for third term we apply the Fourier transform for the lower sideband frequency. Then we will be getting the spectrum on the right side of the 0 axis and left side of the 0 axis. Once again we are normally going to get the impulse response of the carrier signal. Now when you combine term 2 and 3, these two terms if we combine, we are normally going to get the entire spectrum. That means we will be getting here 4 impulse signals. So these 4 impulse signals, how I can represent on the frequency domain? Representation, frequency spectrum. So this is what we are drawing, the frequency response, frequency spectrum. Now I have drawn here a single sided frequency spectrum. So because the same replica will be repeated on the negative side of the spectrum, so that is why I have drawn only the positive side of the spectrum. So this is what plus omega c, this is the Fourier transform of the cos function, where the amplitude of this we have got as pi into EC. Then after this we have got the 2 side bands. What are the 2 side bands I have? This is for the 2 side band components I am going to get. So what is the amplitude of this amplitude component? M into EC by 2. So I will be getting here M into EC by pi into M into EC by 2 as the amplitude. And the frequencies. What are the frequencies that I will be getting here? If you observe carefully, the frequencies what we will be getting here is, when you combine these 2 equations, this component, this particular frequency is going to be omega c plus omega m. This particular component is going to be omega c minus omega m, because this is been aparted by omega m as per the equation whatever that we have got it over here. So therefore this is going to be on the positive side of omega c, this is going to be on the negative side of the omega c. Now what is this function? Now I can write, this is delta of, what I can write this as, this is on the negative side of the omega c. So I can write this as, this is nothing but time advancement. So omega plus omega c minus omega m is the function. What about this function? Delta of omega minus of omega c plus omega m. So these 2 spectrums we are going to get. Now let us see where is this spectrum that we have here. Omega minus of omega c plus omega m. Omega minus of omega c plus omega m. This is the spectrum that we have represented here for the USB. And for the LSB, where from we get the LSB now, it is nothing but omega plus omega c minus omega m. So this is going to be omega plus omega c minus omega m. So this is for the this term we are getting from the equation term number 3. This we are getting from term number 2. So that means we have got the equations here as omega plus, this is coming from the term 3, this is coming from term 2. So term 2 and 3 equations are combined for upper side band and lower side band frequency components, and this is the frequency spectrum. Now in this frequency spectrum, if you observe carefully, these 2 components are displaced apart by omega m. The angular displacement is going to be omega m. So therefore what is the total bandwidth of this particular signal now? The total bandwidth we can write as what? What is bandwidth? Bandwidth of the AM signal, okay, is nothing but equal to, what is bandwidth? Upper cutoff frequency minus the lower cutoff frequency. So here upper cutoff frequency is USB, lower cutoff frequency is LSB, USB minus LSB. What is USB? Omega c plus omega m is the USB, minus of, what is LSB? Omega c minus omega m is the LSB component. So when you expand this now, plus omega c minus omega c will get cancelled. This is omega m, minus into minus plus 2 omega m. So we will be getting here as 2 into omega m. So therefore the bandwidth is proportional to what? 2 into Fm. So therefore the bandwidth of the AM should be equal to 2 times Fm. So that means the bandwidth is normally going to get occupied double the frequency of the message signal. So this is what the conclusion what we can make. This is what the conclusion what we can make with this particular analysis. So this is what the frequency domain analysis. Right. So now we will have a quick review of whatever that we did mathematically on the board. Let us have a quick review. The amplitude modulated wave can be expressed as, how I can express the amplitude modulated wave as, like S of t is equal to AC plus M of t into cos of omega ct. As I tell you already, somebody may take M of t, somebody may take X of t, somebody may take Y of t, doesn't matter, but what you are doing is really very much important for us. What you are doing is really very much important for us. See how the carrier has been written. The carrier signal is written as equal to C of t is equal to AC cos omega ct. So in this slide I have intentionally given AC. Don't confuse with saying AC or EC or VC. It is going to be one and the same. So I am putting here as the carrier signal as C of t and amplitude of the carrier as A of C cos omega ct, where omega c is equal to 2 pi fc, we already know. Now what about the message signal equation? The message signal equation you can write as m of t is equal to am cos omega mt. Both of them are sinusoidal in nature. Sine and cos signals are sinusoidal in nature. Now why I am using the cos signal? The implementation of cos is going to be very easy than the sine signal, and the cos is an even function. Therefore the spectrum is going to look like very nice. That is why I am going with a cos, because the simplification with cos is always going to be easy for us. In the exam he don't say us use only sine, use only cos. It is up to us to really go ahead. So these two are the signals which we discussed. Then next we have the modulated signal. Now the amplitude of the carrier has been modulated here. See, the carrier frequency remains same, omega c remains same. I am not changing the carrier frequency, I am changing only the amplitude of the carrier with respect to the message signal. Now once we really compute this, what we normally going to get here as, so this is what I have written over here, the complete equation which we have got this. Okay, so this is what I will be getting this as. Actually he has to write the AM has to be written over here, but that is missing. But anyway, so this is going to be AC, a message signal M, he has written here as M into AC. Okay, fine then. He has actually directly substituted this. M is equal to, modulation index M is equal to AM by AC. So based on that he is going to get this in terms of AC. Then he has taken AC as common. So once AC is common, 1 plus M into cos omega mt cos omega ct. Now this is in the form of 2 cos A cos B expanded in 2 cos A cos B. 2 cos A cos B is equal to cos A plus B plus cos A minus B. We have expanded it in this fashion, and we are going to get a carrier component and the two sideband components. Upper sideband, why it is called upper sideband? Because it is omega c plus omega m. Why it is lower sideband? Omega c minus omega m. So therefore it is called as a lower sideband frequency component. It is upper with respect to the carrier signal frequency, it is lower with respect to the carrier signal frequency. Therefore it is known as upper sideband frequency, and it is going to be the lower sideband frequency. And once after we find out the Fourier transform of the modulated signal, okay, what we have got? We got a carrier frequency component, we got a carrier frequency component, we got a carrier frequency component, and we got two sideband frequency components. So this spectrum has been drawn only one-sided spectrum, it is not a two-sided spectrum. So for analysis we either consider left side spectrum or either consider right sided spectrum. So we always go with the right sided spectrum. Okay, so now this has been drawn by considering only single sided spectrum. Now what is the bandwidth of this total FM signal that we are going to transmit? It is going to be simply 2 into FM. Now this is for a single tone message signal. If the message signal is going to be baseband signal, what is the baseband signal means? The signal is going to vary between two frequency ranges, say voice signals. Voice signals is going to vary between how much? 0.3 kilohertz to 3 kilohertz. What is the bandwidth of that? 2.7 kilohertz. So whenever we transmit any voice signal which is ranging between 0.3 to 3 kilohertz, then that signal is actually known as the baseband signal. So this baseband signal, when you take the baseband signal as it is, say imagine the spectrum of the baseband is something like this. So now we have to draw the entire spectrum of the baseband signal something like this. Okay, anyway we discussed this while doing problems on analog communications. So we have got finally, what is the conclusion we can make now? After modulation, We will be getting carrier component, we will be getting USB, and we will be getting LSB. So how can I say it is USB? It is FC plus FM component. How I can say LSB? It is going to be FC minus FM component. And finally, what is the conclusion we can make now? The bandwidth of the modulated AM modulated waveform is twice the information signal bandwidth. So that is the conclusion that we can make from this. So because of two sidebands in the frequency spectrum, it's often called as double sideband with full carrier. Double sideband with full carrier. Why we call it as a double sideband? Because we are getting upper sideband as well as lower sideband. So this is how the spectrum looks like. Okay, as already we discussed about this spectrum, but only thing is, once again, if the message signal frequency is 5 kHz, the spectrum is going to be looking like this. Okay. And next class we'll discuss about the modulation index. Thank you very much for today's class.